Hello and welcome to Friday's Look East. Coming up tonight, the Corby surgery struggling to cope as demand for appointments leave patients waiting for weeks.
They're trying to get appointments, they're just not getting appointments, they're just not getting treated.
Poolside in Portugal, we meet the family flying back to this region minutes before tighter rules come in.
I'm at the Silverstone company that converts classic cars like this to electric. Has now caught the attention of David Beckham.
And why keen photographers are being invited to capture the beauty of Cambridge's Botanic Gardens. First tonight, the mounting pressure on patient services in Corby brought on by COVID. The need to see family doctors, GPs, for routine consultations has gone up over the past year, a rise in demand that's being seen everywhere as telephone and online appointments are offered along with face-to-face visits. But in Corby, that rising demand has led to longer waits, leaving patients frustrated and doctors overwhelmed. So is the system at fault? Or there's simply not enough GPs? Our first report tonight comes from our political correspondent, Ben Schofield.
Really worried the fact that he's not a complainer, he'll fight through anything.
Yvonne and her 17-year-old son, Owen. He badly broke his arm 4 years ago. When the pain flared back up, threatening his college work, he needed to see a doctor.
For me to even acknowledge to my mum that I was even in pain is a lot for me because I could do anything. Half the time I wasn't able to do the experiments that we were doing because now when my hands were getting really sore, my hands would get extremely shaky.
His mum tried to make an appointment with Lakeside Surgery in Corby, but couldn't get one, despite trying for weeks.
8 o'clock in the morning, they tell you to ring up. They always say it's line busy constantly, so you're constantly calling up. I was having to call about 60 to 100 times just to get through to get in the queue, and then literally there's like 30 people waiting and trying to get through, and then by the time you got through, they either cut you off or there was no appointments. I was just so frustrated, I was angry.
Come on, girls.
Bob Riley knows about ruffled feathers. He runs a Facebook group for disgruntled Lakeside patients.
Anger, frustration and worry. They're trying to get appointments, they're just not getting appointments, they're just not getting treated. And what they're doing is turning to 111 and then turning to casualty.
Ministers have been very clear that GP services are back to normal. People have got to be able to see their GP if that's what they want to do. And I'm very keen to get to the bottom of precisely what's going on here so that we can try and put this right, because people not being able to see their GP or having great difficulty getting through just isn't good enough.
Today, Lakeside apologised. They say since lockdown eased, demand has spiked.
We understand and acknowledge the problem that our patients are facing, and we're sorry for that. So in April we were receiving contact from approximately 4,000 patients per week, and in May that rose up to over 7,000 patients per week. So a vast increase in patient contacts in a very short space of time.
The surgery is replacing its phone system and taking on more staff, but say they aren't alone in a health service that remains under strain.
As I mentioned there, this place isn't alone. Some hospitals are facing large post-lockdown backlogs as well. Some trusts say they won't be back to where they should be for between 3 and 5 years. Northamptonshire Clinical Commissioning Group, which oversees healthcare in the county, told us that there's been unprecedented demand on general practice services over the past 12 months. They also pointed out that GP surgeries like this one have been supporting the rollout of the COVID-19 vaccine. Some 700,000 doses of that administered in this county, 70% of them through GP surgeries like Lakeside. The CCG also added this. They said, "We understand this has been a difficult period for everyone and the additional demand on services has led to frustration for some of our local population, and we'd like to thank them for their flexibility and patience."
Ben, thank you. Ben Schofield there. Well, that's the picture in Corby, but what about where you live? Can you book a doctor's appointment? We'd like to know. The contact details are on the screen. Now, holidaymakers from this region have been telling Look East it feels unfair